Welcome, Bankless Nation, back to the Devcon 6 experience, except this one's a little bit different because this one was actually at Schelling. Schelling is the conference that tags along with so many of the other Ethereum community conferences. There was a Schelling at DevConnect. There's a Schelling here at Devcon. And so this interview is with Kevin Owocki, of former Gitcoin fame and now of Supermodular fame, the CEO of a brand new company, which is something that he debuted at Schelling at Devcon. Supermodular is Kevin Owocki's centralized software company that is built on top of the decentralized Gitcoin protocol, the protocol that he founded. And I think this is a theme that we're going to see moving forward. It's not the first time we've seen this. Uniswap, for example, and Hayden Adams. Hayden makes Uniswap, and then the next thing he does is he makes Uniswap Labs, a centralized software company built on top of the Uniswap protocol. Now, Kevin Owocki is doing that with Supermodular. And overall, I asked Kevin, of course, about that, building that, and also what role Schelling has in the global conversation that is Ethereum. So I hope you enjoy this fantastic conversation with Kevin Owocki as soon as we talk to some of these fantastic sponsors that make the show possible. TrueFi is leading DeFi into the future of on-chain, uncollateralized loans, opening up DeFi to the $8 trillion global credit market. Whether you want higher yields on your lending or you're a fund manager who just wants access to global liquidity and the cost savings of DeFi, TrueFi is here for you. But if you're going to use TrueFi, use it through the Brave browser, the user-first browser for the Web3 age. The Brave browser keeps your digital footprint small, keeping you in the driver's seat while also being a powerful battle station for Web3, letting you access your crypto through its native wallet, view your NFTs, and keep up to date with your Web3 communities. Another thing you can use through Brave is, of course, ARBITRUM. And you all, of course, have heard about ARBITRUM, but the ARBITRUM ecosystem is really heating up. With their recent launch of ARBITRUM Nova, ARBITRUM has entered the world of multi-chain layer 2s. And with their recent acquisition of Prismatic Labs, ARBITRUM firepower is bigger than ever. ARBITRUM Nitro shipped last month and has made ARBITRUM faster and cheaper than ever before. So make sure that you can experience what ARBITRUM has to offer before it's too late. But maybe you're a developer who hates the constraints of the EVM. So check out the Fuel VM from the Fuel Network, which has opened up the world of parallel transaction execution, breaking Fuel network free from EVM baggage. With Fuel, you can leverage the Rust tooling ecosystem to build stronger apps, all while keeping Ethereum level security. Also pushing the frontier of Web3 development is the Sequence wallet from Horizon. Sequence is the all-in-one developer platform you need to build Web3 games and applications. For users, Sequence is a smart wallet, and perhaps the most intuitive wallet in all of Web3. But for developers, it's a plug-and-play platform for all Web3 apps and games. Check out Sequence, which is already powering some of the best Web3 games out there. And lastly, NEXO is the decentralized social platform, built from the ground up to disrupt the social media industry. Disrupting social media takes a lot of data, and NEXO's infinite state applications can finally store and index large amounts of content and data fully on-chain. With multiple crypto-native monetization mechanisms for both developers and creators, NEXO wants to usher in a new relationship with our social applications. Check them out at NEXO.com. And now, onto the show. What's up, Kevin? How's it going?
Hey, Jim. How's it going?
Oh, just hanging out at Schelling once again. This Schelling has turned into a beast. It's gotten real big.
Yeah, it's a bigger Schelling now. Yeah.
Why the name Schelling?
So Schelling is a game theoretic place where people gather without having to coordinate or to communicate about it. And so like a campfire is a Schelling that at night when we all go camping together, we all just go around the campfire without having to communicate around it. And Schelling the conference, is a Schelling for the regen Web3 movement. People are using Web3 to build a better world.
And it's gotten so much just like energy really, really quickly. I was talking to Simona a little bit about this earlier. Like, why do you think Schelling has grown so fast, so quickly? Like, what niche is it serving?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's Simona's baby, and I mean, I think you couldn't have planned SP or Simona's initials, and Schelling is SP also. So there's something in fate here. With Simona gets all the credit if things are going well, but I think that what you're really seeing here is a nascent need to have more purpose in the protocols that we're building in Web3. As Simona says it so well, how do we cultivate human thriving using Web3 protocols and the Internet of Money? And so I'm here to support public goods, to support local communities, and create more human thriving using Web3. And I think that you're seeing there's a lot of latent demand from people who want to use Web3 to make a better world for everyday humans, and that's why Schelling is growing.
So for the listeners that weren't able to make it, what kind of vibe is Schelling here? Like, what are the themes of content? What's kind of the purpose? What's the overall gist of Schelling for the listeners that can't make it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the vibe is definitely kind of like earthy and green. I think that there might actually be some green behind us in the video. And I think that what you're seeing is people who are building protocols for impact, whether that's like, Gitcoin and quadratic funding or Sybil resistance or impact certificates. There's just kind of a diversity of protocols that are being built around the regen Web3 movement. And this is our place it's a Schelling point for us to come together and to discover each other and to hopefully collaborate on each other's work. And what I would like to see is that the next market cycle, all of these impact entrepreneurs are some of the top growing protocols in the next market cycle. And what would have to be true to rotate capital and talent from the projects that just have the best Ponzi-nomics into the projects that have the most impact on the world? How can we kind of like align capital and talent to go into those things? And that's what we're working on here.
So at Bankless, of course, we like this frontier metaphor, and I think what you just stated is what Schelling Point is really on the frontier of, is rewiring these Ponzi-nomic games that have, more or less plagued, or whatever you want to call it, plagued crypto throughout history, and now we are trying to re-architect it into being for public goods. How would you describe it if you had your own words?
I mean, I think that, we can program our values into our money with programmable money, and you're going to see anything from like Ponzi schemes to things that regenerate the world built out of the Web3 movement. I mean, I think that there's a certain number of like growth hacks that have been pioneered in DeFi that Regen Web3 will probably leverage, and there's certain ones like the unethical ones or the fragile ones that I think that they won't. And the real opportunity, I think, since you used the frontier metaphor, is like I think that Web3 has done a really great job of capturing the minds of moneyed people who want to get better yield on their assets. But 99% of humanity, their financial lives is not their bank accounts or their investments, it's their jobs and it's their communities. And so if we want Web3 to be able to enter those communities, we've got to have anti-fragile things that are good for local communities in order for Web3 to enter those spaces. And this is 95%, 99% of the world. And that's the frontier that I think Schelling Point and Regen Web3 is pointing towards. So I can't wait for the next market cycle and to see the ecosystem of Regen Web3 really start to grow.
I think that's the third Schelling Point that's ever occurred, and by far the biggest. And it's always super refreshing, especially in the middle of a bear market where like activity is just kind of down.
Yeah.
The Schelling Point regen world of crypto is actually at its all-time high in energy.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's so like refreshing to see that like the energy here is not reflective of the depression that you see on crypto Twitter, for example. What's your take on that? Like, what do you think when you see all these people here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I are second cyclers, right? So we kind of know that there's going to be really high highs and then really low lows, and you learn to ride those out and hopefully have a little bit of fun. And I think that, one of the really great things we've seen, and as you know, I run a podcast called the Green Pill Podcast on the Bankless network. And, I was looking at the analytics, I think it was with Brian or someone on your team, and like number go up on like podcast downloads for Green Pill. Actually, you should subscribe to the Green Pill podcast at Green Pill Party. But basically, number go up, and I think the reason is that even in the depths of the bear market, people are intrinsically motivated to make their communities better and to make the lives of their friends and family better. And I think that it's that provides a higher floor than a lot of other markets that just sort of like that intrinsic motivation to work on Regen Web3.
Yeah, this is kind of how I think about crypto at large, is that the crypto, machinations of the bubbles, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It always hits a new floor, right? There's always a new higher floor. And that is true both on prices, that's both on user retention, on user activity. And it's that floor that I think is supported by the regen public goods side of things. Yeah. And that is the floor. And that's why I think the Green Pill podcast hasn't seen a drop in viewership. It's only gone up. Well, actually, if you go listen to Bankless, look at the Bankless views, it tracks crypto prices, right? It went up with crypto prices, it went down with crypto prices. But we have things like Green Pill and like also just the reason why people are here and why crypto never actually ends up getting smaller every single cycle is because the sticky people are here because of the regen reasons, not the Ponzi reasons.
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm most proud of, I mean, I think most of your listeners may know me from launching Gitcoin Grants, which is one of the top crowdfunding platforms in the ecosystem. I'm really proud that Gitcoin Grants is running several $1 million rounds even through the bear market. And I kind of think of quadratic funding as this way of allocating capital when when the VC capital dries up, when, other people aren't deploying saying, hopefully we can build Gitcoin grants into this ecosystem that's always kind of funding even through the bear markets. And, I meet people from the 2018 and 2019 cycle that say that they just lived off of their Gitcoin grants donations, which I think is awesome. And, the fact that Gitcoin grants was some of the first capital into projects like Yearn and Uniswap and 1inch Exchange in the last cycle just makes me wonder what projects we're funding this cycle that are going to be the breakouts of the next cycle. So it really does make sense to stay through the bear markets and to continue allocating capital and attention to projects, because then you're there for when things turn around. And it's just really exciting, the energy here at Schelling Point and in the Web3 ecosystem, and I can't wait to see what it culminates in.
Yeah, and of course, for the listeners that don't know, Bankless is a Gitcoin alumni. And so we can definitely attest to the usefulness of Gitcoin as a funding mechanism to make it through the bear market. Kevin, you recently announced something here at Schelling Point. Can you talk to the listeners who missed the announcement about what you announced?
Yeah, so I've disaffiliated from leadership in Gitcoin, and I believe in Gitcoin in many ways. It's my life's work, but I felt like because I was the CEO and founder and kind of the outsized personality in the DAO, that it made sense to distance myself a little bit from leadership. And the DAO needs to be governed by the community that it serves. That's the loop, is the consent of the governed in these Web3 communities that we want to maintain. That's the legitimacy of the governance. And so I've disaffiliated from Gitcoin DAO, and I am now the founder and CEO of a project called Supermodular.xyz. And you can go to the website at supermodular.xyz and see that we are a venture studio built on top of Gitcoin's protocols. So basically, like as early consensus was to the Ethereum ecosystem, building things that Ethereum newly enabled for the world, Supermodular.xyz is building things that only Gitcoin's protocols and the Sybil resistance and quadratic funding they enable allow. So we're gonna be. I think that we've got some interesting projects coming up, and I'll be announcing those hopefully at Schelling Point in Denver in 2023.
So you're building in the app layer around the Gitcoin protocol.
That's right. Yeah. Also, can we just celebrate that there actually is a Gitcoin protocol now? I launched it as a centralized platform in a monolith back in 2017. It did a lot of good for people, but we're kind of naming the new company Supermodular to repent for our sins of building a centralized monolith. Now we're modular and decentralized protocols are the future, and I've seen the light, and it's been a long, painful transition, but Gitcoin Passport is out, Gitcoin Grants Hub and the Round Manager protocols are all out in alpha, and I'm hopeful that the next Gitcoin Grants run will be on the decentralized protocol. So there's actually a protocol to build upon now, and I feel like, man, Gitcoin's seen a lot of things, but becoming a decentralized modular protocol, I think, is a huge reinvention for it, and I'm here for it.
And Kevin, I hope this is a microcosm for many, many platforms moving forward. And we've seen this at Uniswap too, right? Where Hayden Adams and the Uniswap team built Uniswap, and now they're building Uniswap Labs as like a software company on top of the protocol. And so I think this is a path that many pioneers are carving, where they're first they build the protocol, and then they like retire into their own app layer that they've established. And by retire, I mean just another startup, but now in the app layer. And so I think this is going to be a pattern that many, many, many founders follow in your footsteps, you and Hayden and all the others. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fun. Like, I think that, I've been in crypto for multiple phases full time, and I was even in it part time before that as a hobbyist. And some of the most interesting projects I think are going to come from entrepreneurs that have been through multiple cycles and have multiple phases to their career. And so Supermodular is the next phase of my career, and I'm just so lucky that it's built on the past phase, which was Gitcoin, and also just all of the things around Gitcoin that have grown up about. I would just give a shout out to like Giveth and CLR Fund and Proof of Humanity, things that are built adjacent to Gitcoin. And because they're modular, Supermodular can build on top of those as well, and the sum is greater than the whole of its parts. So it's a really great ecosystem for multi-stage entrepreneurs, because you just get, there's just so much to explore and so much to build.
Well, Kevin, the number of people here is an attest to much of the legacy that you've built with Gitcoin, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you are building with Supermodular. Are you excited to be a builder again, or of another startup, or like what's your emotions about this?
I think it's pronounced Biddler.
Biddler,
first off,
part of my transgressions.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, so the first thing I'll say is like, thank you for the nice things you said about Schelling Point and Gitcoin, but I really, really have to emphasize that there are hundreds of people that worked on Gitcoin DAO in the last market cycle and on Schelling Point, and it's all credit to them. And as the founder, I will always get more credit than is due, and will get more blame than is due. And so I think that it's really important that people see that Gitcoin is this ecosystem of people and not just me. But yes, I am excited to be a builder again, and I'm really excited to kind of build a builder. Oh no, I transgressed on my own thing. But yeah, the cool thing is that because everything is modular now, like I can kind of build on top of Gitcoin as being on top of it, and it's just fun to be advancing and trying pushing new frontiers, but still be leveraging the stuff we built before. Build it before.
Kevin, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers.
Cheers.